Book 5 opens with one of the most relatable passages in all of Meditations, Marcus Aurelius arguing with himself about getting out of bed in the morning. What follows is a meditation on duty, on doing one's work without complaint, and on the nature of a rational being's purpose. If this resonates with you, if you find yourself returning to these words, pausing, listening again, consider subscribing. A new Stoic audiobook arrives every week. Free, unabridged, no interruptions, just the words, the way they were meant to be heard. Section 1. In the morning when you findest yourself unwilling to rise, consider with yourself soon, it is to go about a man's work that I am stirred up. Am I then yet unwilling to go about that for which I myself was born and brought forth into this world? Or was I made for this, to lay me down and make much of myself in a warm bed? Oh, but this is pleasing. And was it then for this that you wert born, that you mightest enjoy pleasure? Was it not in very truth for this, that you mightest always be busy and in action? Seest you not how all things in the world besides, how every tree and plant, how sparrows and ants, spiders and bees, how all in their kind are intent, as it were, orderly to perform whatever, towards the preservation of this orderly universe, naturally does become and belong to thin? And will not you do that which belongs to a man to do? Will not you run to do that which your nature does require? But you must have some rest. Yes, you must. Nature has of that also, as well as of eating and drinking, allowed you a certain stint. But you guessed beyond your stint, and beyond that which would suffice, and in matter of action, there you comest short of that which you may. It must needs be, therefore, that you dost not love yourself. For if you did, you would also love your nature, and that which your nature does propose to herself as her end. Others, as many as take pleasure in their trade and profession, can even pine themselves at their works, and neglect their bodies and their food for it. And doest you less honour your nature than an ordinary mechanich's trade, or a good dancer his art, than a covetous man his silver, and vainglorious man applause? These, to whatever they take an affection, can be content to want their meat and sleep. To further, that every honour which he affects, and shall actions tending to the common good of human society seem more vile to you, or worthy of less respect and intention. Section 2. How easy a thing is it for a man to put off from him all turbulent adventitious imaginations, and soon to be in perfect rest and tranquility. Section 3. Think yourself fit and worthy to speak, or to do anything that is according to nature, and let not the reproach or report of some that may ensue upon it ever deter you. If it be right and honest to be spoken or done, undervalue not yourself so much as to be discouraged from it. As for them, they have their own rational over-ruling part, and their own proper inclination, which you must not stand and look about to take notice of, but go on straight, whither both yours own particular and the common nature do lead you, and the way of both these is but one. Section 4. I continue my course by actions according to nature, until I fall and cease breathing out my last breath into that air by which continually breathed in I did live, and falling upon that earth, out of whose gifts and fruits my father gathered his seed, my mother her blood, and my nurse her milk, out of which for so many years I have been provided, both of meat and drink, and lastly, which beareth me that tread upon it, and beareth with me that so many ways do abuse it, also freely make use of it, so many ways to so many ends. Section 5. No man can admire you for your sharp, acute language, such is your natural disability that way. Be it so, yet there be many other good things, for the want of which you cannot plead the want or natural ability. Let them be seen in you, which depend wholly from you. Sincerity, gravity, laboriousness, contempt of pleasures. Be not querulous, be content with little, be kind, be free. Avoid all superfluity, all vain prattling, be magnanimous. Doest not you perceive how many things there be, which, despite this, any pretense of natural indisposition and unfitness, you mightest have performed and exhibited, and yet still you doest voluntarily continue drooping downwards? Or will you say that it is through defect of your natural constitution that you are constrained to murmur, to be base and wretched, to flatter, now to accuse, and now to please, and pacify your body, to be vainglorious, to be so giddy-headed and unsettled in your thoughts? Nay, witnesses be the gods. Of all these you mightest have been rid long ago. Only this you must have been contented with, to have borne the blame of one that is somewhat slow and dull, in which you must so exercise yourself as one who neither does much take to heart this his natural defect, nor yet pleaseth himself in it. Section 6. Such there be, who, when they have done a good turn to any, are ready to set them on the score for it, and to require retaliation. Others there be, who, though they stand not upon retaliation, to require any, yet they think with themselves nevertheless, that such a one is their debtor, and they know as their word is what they have done. Others again there be, who, when they have done any such thing, do not so much ask now what they have done, but are like to the vine which beareth her grapes, and when once she has borne her own proper fruit, is contented, and seeks for no further recompense. As a horse after a race, and a hunting dog when he has hunted, and a bee when she has made her honey, look not for applause and commendation, so neither does that man that rightly does understand his own nature when he has done a good turn. But from one does proceed to do another, even as the vine, after she has once borne fruit in her own proper season, is ready for another time. You therefore must be one of them, who, what they do, barely do it without any further thought, and are in a manner insensible of what they do. Nay, but, will some reply perchance, this very thing a rational man is bound to understand what it is that he doeth. For it is the property, say they, of one that is naturally sociable, to be sensible, that he does operate sociably. Nay, and to desire that the party himself that is sociably dealt with should be aware of it too. I answer, that which you sayest is true, indeed, but the true meaning of that which is said you dost not understand, and therefore are you one of those first whom I mentioned. For they also are led by a probable appearance of reason. But if you dost desire to understand truly what it is that is said, fear not that you shall therefore give over any sociable action. Section 7. The form of the Athenians' prayer did run thus: O rain, rain, good Jupiter, upon all the grounds and fields that belong to the Athenians. Either we should not pray at all, or thus absolutely and freely, and note for one for himself in particular alone. Section 8. As we say commonly, the physician has prescribed to this man riding, to another cold baths, to a third to go barefoot. So it is alike to say, the nature of the universe has prescribed to this man sickness, or blindness, or some loss, or damage, or some such thing. For as there, when we say of a physician that he has prescribed anything, our meaning is that he has appointed this for that, at subordinate, and conducing to health. So here, whatever does hapento any is ordained to him as a thing subordinate to the fates, and therefore do we say of such things that they do, that is, happen or fall together, as of square stones, when either in walls or pyramids in a certain position they fit one another, and agree, as it were, in an harmony. The masons say that they do, as if you shouldest say, fall together, so that in the general, though the things be divers that make it, yet the consent or harmony itself is but one. And as the whole world is made up of all the particular bodies of the world, one perfect and complete body, of the same nature that particular bodies, so is the destiny of particular causes and events one general one, of the same nature that particular causes are. What I now say, even they that are mere idiots are not ignorant of. For they say commonly, that is, Titius destiny has brought upon him. This therefore is by the fates properly, and particularly brought upon this, as that to this in particular is by the physician prescribed. These therefore let us accept of in like manner, as we do those that are prescribed to use or physicians. For them also, in themselves, shall we find to contain many harsh things, but we nevertheless, in hope of health and recovery, accept of them. Let the fulfilling and accomplishment of those things which the common nature has determined be to you as your health. Accept then, and be pleased with whatever does happen, though otherwise harsh and unpleasing, as tending to that end, to the health and welfare of the universe, and to Jove's happiness and prosperity. For this, whatever it be, should not have been produced, had it not conduced to the good of the universe. For neither does any ordinary particular nature bring anything to pass. That is not to whatever is within the sphere of its own proper administration and government agreeable and subordinate. For these two considerations, then, you must be well pleased with anything that does happen to you. First, because that for you properly it was brought to pass, and to you it was prescribed, and that from the very beginning, by the series and connection of the first causes, it has ever had a reference to you. And secondly, because the good success and perfect welfare, and indeed the very continuance of him, that is the administrator of the whole, does in a manner depend on it. For the whole, because whole, therefore entire and perfect, is maimed and mutilated, if you shall cut off anything at all, by which the coherence and contiguity, as of parts, so of causes, is maintained and preserved, of which certain it is that you doest, as much as lieth in you, cut off, and in some sort violently take somewhat away, as often as you are displeased with anything that happeneth. Section 9. Be not discontented, be not disheartened, be not out of hope. If often it succeed not so well with you punctually and precisely to do all things according to the right dogmata, but being once cast off, return to them again. And as for those many and more frequent occurrences, either of worldly distractions or human infirmities, which as a man you cannot but in some measure be subject to, be not you discontented with them, but, however, love and affect that only which dost return to, a philosopher's life and proper occupation after the most exact manner. And when you dost return to your philosophy, return not to it as the manner of some is, after play and liberty, as it were, to their schoolmasters and pedagogues, but as they that have a sore eyes to their sponge and egg, or as another to his cataplasm, or as others to their fomentations. So shall not you make it a matter of ostentation at all, to obey reason, but of ease and comfort. And remember that philosophy requireth nothing of you, but what your nature requireth. And wildest you yourself desire anything that is not according to nature? For which of these sayest you? That which is according to nature, or against it, is of itself more kind and pleasing. Is it not for that respect especially, that pleasure itself is to so many men's hurt and overthrow most prevalent, because esteemed commonly most kind and natural? But consider well whether magnanimity rather, and true liberty, and true simplicity, and equanimity and holiness, whether these be not most kind and natural, and prudency itself, what more kind and amiable than it, when you shall truly consider with yourself what it is through all the proper objects of your rational intellectual faculty currently to go on without any fall or stumble. As for the things of the world, their true nature is in a manner so involved with obscurity that to many philosophers, and those Nomean ones, they seemed altogether incomprehensible, and the Stoics themselves, though they judged them not altogether incomprehensible, yet scarce and not without much difficulty, comprehensible, so that all assent of ours is fallible. For who is he that is infallible in his conclusions? From the nature of things, pass now to their subjects and matter. How temporary, how vile are they, aye, such as may be in the power and possession of some abominable loose liver, of some common strumpet, of some notorious oppressor and extortioner. Pass from thereto the dispositions of them that you doest ordinarily converse with. How hardly do we bear, even with the most loving and amiable, that I may not say, how hard it is for us to bear, even with our own selves, in such obscurity and impurity of things, in such and so continual a flux both of the substances and time, both of the motions themselves and things moved, what it is that we can fasten upon, either to honor and respect especially, or seriously and studiously to seek after. I cannot so much as conceive, for indeed they are things contrary. Section 10. You must comfort yourself in the expectation of your natural dissolution, and in the meantime not grieve at the delay, but rest contented in those two things. First, that nothing shall happen to you which is not according to the nature of the universe. Secondly, that it is in your power to do nothing against yours own proper God and inward spirit, for it is not in any man's power to constrain you to transgress against him. Section 11. What is the use that now at this present I make of my soul? Thus from time to time, and upon all occasions, you must put this question to yourself. What is now that part of mine which they call the rational mistress part employed about? Whose soul do I now properly possess, a child's or a youth's, a woman's or a tyrant's, some brute or some wild beast's soul? Section 12. What those things are in themselves, which by the greatest part are esteemed good, you may gather even from this. For if a man shall hear things mentioned as good, which are really good indeed, such as arreprudence, temperance, justice, fortitude, after so much heard and conceived, he cannot endure to hear of any more, for the word good is properly spoken of them. But as for those which by the vulgar are esteemed good, if he shall hear them mentioned as good, he does hearken for more. He is well contented to hear that what is spoken by the comedian is but familiarly and popularly spoken, so that even the vulgar apprehend the difference. For why is it else that this offends not and needs not to be excused when virtues are styled good? But that which is spoken in commendation of wealth, pleasure, or honor, we entertain it only as merrily and pleasantly spoken. Proceed, therefore, and inquire further, whether it may not be that those things also, which being mentioned upon the stage were merrily, and with great applause of the multitude, scoffed at with this jest, that they that possessed them had not in all the world of their own. Such was their affluence and plenty, so much as a place where to avoid their excrements. Whether, I say, those ought not also in very deed to be much respected, and esteemed of, as the only things that are truly good. Section 13. All that I consist of is either form or matter. No corruption reduce either of these to nothing. For neither did I of nothing become a subsistent creature. Every part of mine, then, will by mutation be disposed into a certain part of the whole world, and that in time into another part, and so in infinitum, by which kind of mutation I also became what I am, and so did they that begot me, and they before them, and so upwards in infinitum. For so we may be allowed to speak, though the age and government of the world be to some certain periods of time limited and confined. Section 14. Reason and rational power are faculties which content themselves with themselves and their own proper operations. And as for their first inclination and motion, that they take from themselves, but their progress is right to the end and object, which is in their way, as it were, and lieth just before them, that is, which is feasible and possible, whether it be that which at the first they proposed to themselves or no. For which reason also such actions are termed to intimate the directness of the way by which they are achieved. Nothing must be thought to belong to a man, which does not belong to him as he is a man. These, the event of purposes, are not things required in a man. The nature of man does not profess any such things. The final ends and consummations of actions are nothing at all to a man's nature. The end, therefore, of a man, or the summum bonum be, which that end is fulfilled, cannot consist in the consummation of actions purposed and intended. Again, concerning these outward worldly things, were it so that any of them did properly belong to man, then would it not belong to man to condemn them and to stand in opposition with them. Neither would he be praiseworthy that can live without them, or he good. If these were good indeed, who of his own accord does deprive himself of any of them? But we see contrariwise, that the more Ammon does withdraw himself from these in which external pomp and greatness does consist, or any other like these, or the better he does bear with the loss of these, the better he is accounted. Section 15. Such as your thoughts and ordinary cogitations are, such will your mind be in time. For the soul does, as it were, receive its tincture from the fancies and imaginations. Dye it, therefore, and thoroughly soak it with the assiduity of these cogitations. As, for example, wherever you may live, there it is in your power to live well and happy. But you may live at the court, there then also may you live well and happy. Again, that which everything is made for, he is also made to that, and cannot but naturally incline to it. That which any things naturally incline to in it is his end, in which the end of everything does consist, in it also does his good and benefit consist. Society, therefore, is the proper good of a rational creature. For that where made for society, it has long since been demonstrated. Or can any man make any question of this, that whatever is naturally worse and inferior is ordinarily subordinated to that which is better, and that those things that are best are made one for another, and those things that have souls are better than those that have none, and of those that have, those best that have rational souls. Section 16. To desire things impossible is the part of a madman. But it is a thing impossible that wicked man should not commit some such things. Neither does anything happen to any man, which in the ordinary course of nature as natural to him does not happen. Again, the same things happen to others also. And truly, if either he that is ignorant that such a thing has happened to him, or he that is ambitious to become amended for his magnanimity, can be patient, and is not grieved, is it not a grievous thing, that either ignorance or a vain desire, to please and to be commended, should be more powerful and effectual than true prudence? As for the things themselves, they touch not the soul, neither can they have any access to it. Neither can they of themselves anyways either affect it or move it. For she herself alone can affect and move herself, and according as the dogmata and opinions are, which she does vouchsafe herself, so are those things which, accessories, have any coexistence with her. Section 17. After one consideration, man is nearest to us, as we are bound to do them good, and to bear with them. But as he may oppose any of our true proper actions, so man is to me but as a thing indifferent, even as the sun, or the wind, or some wild beast. By some of these it may be that some operation or other of mine may be hindered. However, of my mind and resolution itself there can be no let or impediment, by reason of that ordinary constant both exception or reservation wherewith it inclineth, and ready conversion of objects, from that which may not be to that which may be, which in the prosecution of its inclinations as occasion serves, it does observe. For by these the mind does turn and convert any impediment whatever to be her aim and purpose, so that what before was the impediment is now the principal object of her working, and that which before was in her way is now her readiest way. Section 18. Honor that which is chiefest and most powerful in the world, and that is it which makes use of all things and governs all things. So also in yourself. Honor that which is chiefest and most powerful, and is of one kind and nature with that which we now spake of. For it is the very same which being in you turneth all other things to its own use, and by whom also your life is governed. Section 19. That which does not hurt the city itself cannot hurt any citizen. This rule you must remember to apply and make use of upon every conceit and apprehension of wrong. If the whole city be not hurt by this, neither am I certainly. And if the whole be not, why should I make it my private grievance? Consider rather what it is in which he is oversent is thought to have done the wrong. Again, often meditate how swiftly all things that subsist, and all things that are done in the world, are carried away, and as it were conveyed out of sight. For both the substance themselves, we see as a flood, are in a continual flux, and all actions in a perpetual change, and the causes themselves, subject to 1,000 alterations, neither is there anything almost that may ever be said to be now settled and constant. Next to this, and which follows upon it, consider both the infiniteness of the time already past, and the immense vastness of that which is to come, in which all things are to be resolved and annihilated. Are not you then every fool, who for these things are either puffed up with pride, or distracted with cares, or confined in your heart to make such moans, as for a thing that would trouble you for a very long time? Consider the whole universe, of which you are but a very little part, and the wholage of the world together, of which but a short and very momentary portion is allotted to you, and all the fates and destinies together, of which how much is it that comes to your part and share? Again, another does trespass against me. Let him look to that. He is master of his own disposition and of his own operation. I, for my part, am in the meantime in possession of as much as the common nature would have me to possess, and that which mine own nature would have me do, I do. Section 20. Let not that chief commanding part of your soul be ever subject to any variation through any corporal either pain or pleasure, neither suffer it to be mixed with these, but let it both circumscribe itself and confine those affections to their own proper parts and members. But if at any time they do reflect and rebound upon the mind and understanding, as in an united and compacted body it must needs, then must you not go about to resist sense and feeling, it being natural. However, let not your understanding to this natural sense and feeling, which whether to our flesh pleasant or painful, is to us nothing properly, add an opinion of either good or bad, and all is well. Section 21. To live with the gods. He liveth with the gods, who at all times affords to them the spectacle of a soul, both contented and well pleased with whatever is afforded or allotted to her, and performing whatever is pleasing to that spirit, whom, being part of himself, Jove has appointed to every man as his overseer and governor. Section 22. Be not angry, neither with him whose breath, neither with him whose arm holes, are offensive. What can he do? Such is his breath naturally, and such are his armholes, and from such an effect, and such a smell must of necessity proceed. Oh, but the man, sayest you, has understanding in him, and might of himself know that he, by standing near, cannot choose but offend. And you also, God bless you, hast understanding. Let your reasonable faculty work upon his reasonable faculty. Show him his fault, admonish him. If he hearken to you, you hast cured him, and there will be no more occasion of anger. Section 23. Where there shall neither roarer be, nor harlot. Why so? As you dost purpose to live, when you hast retired yourself to some such place, where neither roarer nor harlot is, so may you hear. And if they will not suffer you, then may you leave your life rather than your calling, but so as one that does not think himself anyways wronged, only as one would say, here is a smoke, I will out of it. And what a great matter is this! Now, till some such thing force me out, I will continue free. Neither shall any man hinder me to do what I will, and me will shall ever be by the proper nature of a reasonable and sociable creature, regulated and directed. Section 24. That rational essence by which the universe is governed is for community and society, and therefore has it both made the things that tear worse for the best, and has allied and knit together those which are best, as it were, in an harmony. Seest you not how it has subordinated and coordinated, and how it has distributed to everything according to its worth, and those which have the pre-eminency and superiority above all, has it united together into a mutual consent and agreement. Section 25. How hast you carried yourself hitherto towards the gods, towards your parents, towards your brethren, towards your wife, towards your children, towards your masters, your foster fathers, your friends, your domestics, your servants? Is it so with you that hitherto you hast either by word or deed wronged any of them? Remember besides through how many things you hast already passed, and how many you hast been able to endure, so that now the legend of your life is full, and your charge is accomplished. Again, how many truly good things have certainly by you been discerned, how many pleasures, how many pains hast you passed over with contempt, how many things eternally glorious hast you despised. Towards how many perverse unreasonable men hast you carried yourself kindly and discreetly? Section 26. Why should imprudent, unlearned souls trouble that which is both learned and prudent? And which is that is so? She that understandeth the beginning and the end, and has the true knowledge of that rational essence, that passeth through all things subsisting, and through all ages being ever the same, disposing and dispensing as it were this universe by certain periods of time. Section 27. Within a very little while you will be either ashes or aselitum, and a name perchance, and perchance not so much as a name. And what is that but an empty sound, and a rebounding echo, those things which in this life are dearest to us, and of most account they are in themselves, but vain, putrid, contemptible. The most weighty and serious, if rightly esteemed, but as puppies, biting one another, or untoward children, now laughing and then crying. As for faith, and modesty, and justice, and truth, they long since, as one of the poets has it, have abandoned this spacious earth, and retired themselves to heaven. What is it, then, that does keep you here, if things sensible be so mutable and unsettled, and the senses so obscure and so fallible, and our souls nothing but an exhalation of blood, and to be in credit among such be but vanity? What is it that you dost stay for? An extinction or a translation, either of them, with a propitious and contented mind? But still that time come. What will content you? What else, but to worship and praise the gods, and to do good to men, to bear with them and to forbear to do them any wrong, and for all external things belonging either to this your wretched body or life, to remember that they are neither yours nor in your power. Section 28. You may always speed, if you will but make choice of their right way. If in the course both of yours opinions and actions, you will observe a true method. These two things be common to the souls, so of God, so of men, and of every reasonable creature. First, that in their own proper work they cannot be hindered by anything, and secondly, that their happiness does consist in a disposition to, and in the practice of righteousness, and that in these their desire is terminated. Section 29. If this neither be my wicked act, nor an act anyways depending from any wickedness of mine, and that by it the public is not hurt, what does it concern me, and in which can the public be hurt? For you must not altogether be carried by conceit and common opinion. As for help, you must afford that to them after your best ability, and as occasion shall require, though they sustain damage, but in these middle or worldly things. But however do not you conceive that they are truly hurt by it, for that is not right. But as that old foster father in the comedy, being now to take his leave, does, with a great deal of ceremony, require his foster child's rhombus, or rattle-top, remembering nevertheless that it is but a rhombus. So here also do you likewise. For indeed, what is all this pleading and public bawling for at the courts? O man, hast you forgotten what those things are? Yea, but they're things that others much care for, and highly esteem of. Will you therefore be a fool too? Once I was, let that suffice. Section 30. Let death surprise me when it will, and where it will I may be, or a happy man nevertheless. For he is a happy man, who in his lifetime dealeth to himself a happy lot and portion. A happy lot and portion is good inclinations of thesul, good desires, good actions,